Okay, something a little bit different this morning. My V-Strom is in for recall. So I've got a Kawasaki Z650, which is revving a bit because it's a fresh morning. Yes, so I've got a Z650 as a courtesy bike. As I say, it's revving a little bit at the moment because it's on its cold start. Not that it's freezing out, but just wants a little bit more. Very lightweight and easy to turn on the stand. And it is just a standard 650. So yeah, it's totally standard, as you'd expect. Hardly any noise at all out the exhaust. So if I had one, I'd really need to put an end can on it. There is a bit of a induction noise to it, which is quite nice, but I'd rather have the noise of a good end can on it. I mean, ultimately it's everything a 650. Ultimately it's everything a 650 should be. And I would imagine, well, I don't have to imagine, I've had this to commute on yesterday and obviously using it today for commuting. And it's a little bit wide for, especially the mirrors, a little bit high and wide for some of the filtering you'd need to do through town. Obviously a sports bike with its clip-ons and everything is a bit skinnier coming over. Nice bit of indicating, like it. Don't need to, I'm a van driver, white van man. So let's do him like that. Yeah, and as you can see from that manoeuvre, it's got a nice little bit of pickup. It suffers at the higher speeds. Obviously you've got no protection whatsoever, so speeds, if you are a naughty person, speeds over sort of 70 mile an hour do get quite uncomfortable with the wind in your face. As you can probably hear, I mean, that's 50 mile an hour and I'm already getting some buffer in. As I say, it's got quite a nice little pickup. Yeah, so that's nearly 70 mile an hour. I'm getting the full force of it now. There's no forgiveness. But as you can see, there's no windshield on it at all, no screen. So there's probably screens and that you can buy, but to be honest, not going to do a great deal. They might take the wind off your chest, but they're only going to slam it in your face. And this is not terrible. You know, you could definitely do a few miles on this with that buffeting. But as soon as you start getting up on the German autobahn and doing a few more miles an hour, it certainly would become uncomfortable. The main negative that I can find is the vibration. Not in the handlebars. There's a little bit coming through the pegs. What we're doing, 60 mile an hour, a little bit coming through the pegs. Not anything terrible, but it's where the tank meets the seats, right where your knackers are. There's quite a vibe there, especially around the 70 mile an hour mark. Whether that is just this bike or whether they all do it, I wouldn't know. But I mean, apart from that, it's, you know, it's a nice little first bike. Where it would score is round the town, and on these twisties it's got a good turn, you know, you can, and it's quite flickable. I do hope you're seeing this. I've turned the exposure up on the camera, but you just never know. Bit foggy this morning. Well, as I say, it's quite nimble, quite flickable. I don't overly like a bike. I don't know how to turn the main beam on. Can flash it. Woo! Yeah, it's not my type of bike. I do like a bit of a bike you got to manhandle. I've got a V-Strom 1000 and a Hayabusa, both of which need a bit of chucking about. But it's not to say I'm not enjoying this. It'd been better if it was lighter out this morning. Might get a bit of a blast later before I have to take the bike back. And we've just had a lot of rain, so the roads, I mean, you can't really see that, but that's got a layer of mud on it. I know the farmers have been up and down this one. But yeah, you've got the early morning mist, the early morning dew, which I keep wiping off you, which isn't helping. But overall, I mean, it's got a good pace to it. It'll do your legal speed limits and it'll get there fairly quickly. Yeah, it's all looking a bit moist to be charging around. Just coming up to the end of October, so it's all getting a bit chilly, a bit moist, a bit nasty. I haven't set the mirrors up for me, so they're a bit skew-whiffy, but if I was to move them out slightly, you get the slightest bit of arm in the window, but the rest of it would be all rear view, and they look quite sleek. It's not a big horrible round bloody mirror. It's It's quite a good looking mirror and very functional. But yes, overall, for the bang for buck, it's don't know whether you can hear that induction. It's a nippy little runaround. Ideal first bike. And as ideally suited for these slow manoeuvres. As I say, it's quick to turn, quick to chuck round, easy to filter through the smallest of gaps. And there you go, quick enough to get on with the traffic. But yes, you should definitely start feeling the buffeting, and all the elements are just chucked at you. I had a V-Strom 650 and it had the versatility of this bike. It would do your filtering. It had a good turn of acceleration. It was, you know, again, a good all-rounder. A little bit longer than this, I think, and a bit more of a wallowy handful to manoeuvre through the twisties, but massive amount of enjoyment, but a lot more functionality than this. And it just had that extra of the screen and the front headlight cowl and that, which kept all this buffeting off you, which made for a much nicer commute if you're doing any sort of distance. If you're going through the towns or the cities, this ideal. It'll nip through the traffic with ease. But on this, I mean, my commute is only 12 or 13 miles long, but yeah, it's for having had the luxury of a bike with a screen, bike with a full fairing, I wouldn't opt for an unfaired bike for commuting if you're doing it all year round. If you're just doing it through the summer, no problem at all, but during the winter I really do recommend getting something with a fairing. It's alright putting a little screen on this, which will give you a bit of protection. Nice. Brilliant, mate, brilliant. Let's just slam the brakes on a dual carriageway. Nutters. Absolutely no idea. Yeah, I would highly recommend getting something with at least a nose cowl and a half decent screen, or a fully faired bike. I think they do the Z650 in full fairing guise. They certainly used to do the ER6F, which was the fully faired version. But yeah, I would highly recommend, if you're doing any sort of distance on open road, a bike with fairing. Having said that, round the town, this little 650 will do you an absolute treat. It's good on the fuel, got to be cheap on the insurance, well, unless you're a first timer. Pretty sure it's A2 friendly. If it's not, it bloody should be. But yes, it's everything you need from a bike and a little bit more, and it'll be a whole fist of fun down them twisties and that. So if you're shopping for a 650, then give it a go. So daytime little jaunt out from work on the little Z650, and this is where it sort of excels. It's going to be a good fun bike, winding through traffic and up through the little twisties where it's got that little bit of poke to do your little overtakes, and also it's nice and light and flickable to get round your bends. But no, overall quite a neat little package. I don't know what they retail for. I'll possibly do some homework on it, but you've got to be looking at, I don't know, £6,500, which for a cheap little run around, it's everything you're going to need. But as I said earlier when I was commuting, if you are going to use it for faster open roads like dual carriageways and motorways, then I think it could get a little bit painful after a while. Realistically, in my opinion anyway, realistically you want at least a front cowl with a bit of screen on it, like a half fairing, or you want a full fairing, give you that protection. But if you're just wanting something to run you around town and have fun on the twisties on the weekend or something, then this is definitely an ideal candidate. Seating wise, it's quite a comfortable upright position. Your feet are a little bit tucked up in a sporty sort of configuration, but not to an uncomfortable angle. It does give flexibility for your balance and moving about on the seat, and yeah, with the straight handlebars, they are swept back a little bit, but it's a comfortable position to sit in, and I can imagine doing a bit of time on the bike before you start really getting uncomfortable. It is just the vibration on it that will be your demise. If they're all like this one, it has got a vibration right at the back of the tank which wobbles your nuts, or wobbles your flappy bits. And if you enjoy that sort of thing created by machinery, then this is definitely the bike for you. Should try a little 0 to 60. There you go. Top whack out of this particular one I did on a private road. I was on a runway. No, I was on an autobahn in Germany, and I managed 109 out of this, which is a little bit depressing. I know a bloke who's got an old style Versys, which is pretty much the same engine but just tuned differently. He's had 123 out of his, and I know someone who's been on a brand new 650 Versys and they've had 123 out of that, and that hadn't been running and loosened up yet. So 109 on this, although with the wind in your face and the the shit you got to go through to achieve it, and whether you'd actually comfortably want to sustain that speed, I don't know. But this little fella that's done nearly 3,000 miles, that's all it could manage. But as I say, it's more than enough for motorway speeds, and gives you a nice little kick at 70 to do a quick overtake and nudge yourself back in. So it is usable in the real world. But there you go, there's my opinion on my brief experience. What have I had it? About an hour and a half in total. Longest trip out of that was about half an hour. The rest of it was commutes and like a little trip like this. But yeah, in my honest opinion, it is what you pay for. Whoa, and there's the post office. But there you go, that's my opinion on the Z650, which I have ridden in the dark, in the light. Yeah, the headlight's not all that, not very bright. As I say, I've ridden in the dark, in the daytime, dual carriageways, through town, and obviously through the twisties, and it's a good all-rounder. But for me personally, it hasn't got the versatility I'd want from a bike like this. If I wanted all-out power, I'd go for a Super Sport, and if I wanted something that I was going to commute on and do a bit of town work and that, I would go for an adventure bike. Being that I've owned nakeds and adventure bikes and stuck with the adventure bikes, I think the proof's there. A lot more versatile than the nakeds, and yeah, just overall more protection. But there you go, that's just my opinion. Go and try one yourself.